Hey everyone, it's Umi Genevieve, laced in space constellations on LSD. Thanks for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else and you decided to be here with me. So I always want to show gratitude, always want to show appreciation. Happy Resurrection Day, Easter, Ramadan, all over the world. Happy holidays. So yesterday I did a post. So I'm going to jump right in. Yesterday I did a post about the 12th house and the 6th house axis. So I wanted to talk further about that, break it down for you, see where you can find how it resonates with you. So always want to use astrology as a way to give you a bigger perspective, higher perspective, and just finding your own path to understanding, especially since it's helped me find a lot of understanding. So the 12th house, 6th house axis. The 12th house is our suppressed desires. It's our overall where we feel like we are not always conscious of, we can't always grasp. Our 6th house is how we're going to grasp what's in our 12th house. So our 6th house lets us know our everyday standards, our everyday movements, our everyday obligations. It lets us know how our subconscious, what's in the back of our mind, come forward and actualize. Now, when you go into your 12th house, you're looking at your deepest thoughts, your wishes. And then when you go into your 6th house, you're going to see how you put effort and how you make those wishful thinking come true. 12th house is what inspires us. Venus exalted in the 12th house. 6th house is what grounds us. Venus fall in the 6th house. Because when we're looking at Venus energy, that's why it likes Pisces. Because Venus is like, you can get whatever you want. You can. It's all about what you desire. How you want to jump into things and how it makes you feel good. And Piscean is not only just how it makes you feel good physically, but how it makes you feel spiritually. It's higher levels of sensation, of beauty, of creativity, of spirituality. So I want to break down 12th house, 6th house for those out there who want to see what can be their undoing, what can be their shadow work, and how they can now actualize this in the 6th house, make it more practical, find more order. So I'm going to go down in order. So if you have Aries in the 12th house and you have Libra in the 6th house, what does that mean for you? And if you have Aries in the 12th house, that means you're a Taurus rising. So Taurus risings, what does your 12th house and 6th house mean? Aries, Libra. So with Aries being in the 12th house, you're going to ask yourself, what you feel like you can't grasp sometimes seems to get away from you. Aries, who am I? How do I initiate a sense of self? How do I protect self, preserve self? Sometimes I feel like that's out of grasp. Like I don't really know my direction because I don't really know who I am. So how we ground that through the 6th house, we're going to look at Libra. It's important that Aries, if you have this in the 12th house, if you have Aries in the 12th house, that you really are conscious of your associates, your partnerships, the people you surround yourself with on an everyday basis, because that's going to show you how motivated you feel, how identified you feel, how special you feel. So if you have Aries in the 12th house, you struggle with I am, how to assert I am, and how that help you. And how can you build that is by finding the right partnerships and associates, the right mentors, guides, that kind of basis there. But when it's Libra, it's just all people. Air energy. And I love this saying, you are who you hang out with. You are who you associate with. And that's huge for air and fire signs. When you have Aries in the 12th house, you're going to have to really be conscious of the people you associate with and their sense of character, how they motivate themselves, how they value their reputations. When you have Libra in the 12th house, we're going to flip it. When we have Libra in the 12th house, I can't seem to find the right partnerships or the right associates. I struggle with relatability. So we're just going to flip it. How are you going to balance that with it being in the 6th house? Aries, I need to work on character. I need to work on how I initiate myself. Same basis, just flip it. When you have Aries and Libra energy, I struggle with how I protect, assert, identify with self. And it's because of who I'm surrounding myself with, who I'm trying to keep up with, who doesn't really balance out my reputation, my sense of character. So that makes me feel like I have to Aries, stay protective, stay reserved, be afraid of people. And Martians can feel that way, Aries. But it's like getting along with people, man. It's just one of those things. Feeling like I align with the right people. Same thing with Libra. Feel like I align with the right people is one of those things. I've had some buddies, man, that really made me look kind of bad or doesn't really align with my sense of structure or my end goals. Now we're going to look at the Taurus Scorpio axis. Taurus is what I own, what I have. Scorpio is how I share it. Things outside of me that I invest in. Taurus is the things that I invest in within self, my values. Scorpio is the values that I'll find through others, share with others. When you have that in your 12th and your 6th house, where do you struggle with keeping and sharing? Where do you feel like anytime you get into a space of sharing your goods, you can end up in debt? You can end up taking up more baggage. And that could be a theme for old Taurus and Scorpio, where they don't know if they should just be selfish and hoard their things, or if they should be selfless and just overly share themselves and give. And since Taurus and Scorpio is an energy that's more intimate, Taurus and Scorpios can feel like they struggle with this mostly in their personal relationships, in their romantic relationships, and in the relationships that they procreate. So the ones like their children, they can feel like there's always a give and take that they need to work on with what I own, what I keep for myself, what I save, and how I extend and how I share. Another important thing with having Taurus and Scorpio is how we can get into like credit card debt, just spaces where it just brings on credit card debt, overly subscriptions, just a basis of like too much. We need moderation in our resources. An energy of give and take, where we have sweet tooths, Taurus and Scorpio, give and take. So when you have that in your 12th and your 6th house, there's a basis of not really knowing how to moderate, what to keep and what to share. If Taurus is in your 12th house, I struggle with keeping things. So you got to look at your 6th house. What are you giving away? How are you giving your energy away? With Scorpio there. If you flip it, I'm always extending. I feel like I always got to give if you put Scorpio in the 12th house. I got to have something where I'm offering it to someone else. So what we're going to do if we have Taurus in the 6th house, learn how to be selfish, keep things. Be like, you know what? I ain't got it today. Gemini, Sagittarius. Gemini in the 12th house. I struggle to process my thoughts, my own ideas, how I communicate with self. Sagittarius being in the 6th house, find gurus, find mentors, move away. Maybe you feel like Gemini, your mind is cluttered. You're in the same hometown. You're hanging out with the same people. They're talking about the same things. So Gemini, look towards Sagittarius. Move away. Go to a different city. Open up your belief systems. Learn a different language. Let's flip it. Sagittarius in the 12th house, Gemini in the 6th. Sagittarius in the 12th house. I'm always thinking about the bigger picture. Where I'm going. What's my next step? How I can be more outside of myself. Other people's beliefs, other people's ideas. All these different books I'm reading, these teachers, these courses I'm going to. So when you have Gemini in the 6th house, what is it going to tell us? You got to trust your own mind. Work with smaller projects. Get a hobby. Call an old friend. Visit your hometown. See how you built up to this expanding your horizons? What was the baby steps to build this inquisitive energy? Go back to that. When you're too Jupiterian, it's like the world is wide, information is wide, that you don't really know what do you think. So you go to Gemini, how do I think? What do I like? What is my opinion? What is my experience? Because Sagittarius will have you looking at everybody else's experiences, everybody else's studies. Cancer to Capricorn, the axis. Cancer, my emotions, my emotional well-being. Capricorn, my worldly discipline, my worldly structure, society. When we have Cancer in the 12th house, Capricorn in the 6th house, Cancer being in the 12th house means that there's a lack of grasp with our feelings, our emotions, lack of working on our feminine energy, working with our mother, where there needs to be more of a base there. It's always wishy-washy. Where we're living, our home dynamic. So when you have Cancer in the 12th house, it's really big on your emotional well-being, your sense of emotional security. You're a Leo rising. So if you don't feel good, you feel like you won't perform good. And how does that help you out with having Capricorn in the 6th house? Realizing this is going to be the energy of coming out of yourself, where your feelings need to be more structured, where you need to find more grounding with your emotions, where you need to be coming to spaces where you can't really stay in the past and reflect on what my mom didn't do, my grandmother didn't do. We got to go towards what we need to do. Since you're a Leo rising, you're going to come in spaces where you're the first or only in any way, in some way. So how you now come into finding your own light, your own stage. With Capricorn being in the 6th house, you're going to work very hard because you're too emotional. Everything throws you off emotionally. Everything makes you feel sensitive to your sense of identity. So you're going to have to work hard because you're going to feel like you need to really build certain milestones, get towards certain ambitions, goals, to really feel validated, to really to feel like your moon energy feels secured. Let's flip it. Capricorn in the 12th, Cancer in the 6th. Capricorn in the 12th. I am a workaholic. Everything is work, goals, 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 goals. Highly ambitious here. We have an Aquarius rising. So where we've even gone through survival modes. Now it's going to ask you about the basis of. So, perfect. Now it's going to ask you about the base of how we find emotional development, how we find emotional security. What are we working for? Why do we need to get towards so much of these ambitions and so much of these, like this high functioning energy? So when you have Capricorn in the 12th house, learn to take some days off. Rest at home. Get a good night's rest. Sleep in. Learn to do those things. Learn to be home, since being in the 12th house, you may always be at work, always outside of spaces that could be more vulnerable, nurturing. Saturn in the 12th house makes you very serious-minded, mature. You're an old soul. But where can you feel like that has stumped your emotional development? Where it doesn't even allow you to be sensitive, at least to yourself. Leo, Aquarius axis. Leo, my self-expression. It's close to Aries. Leo, how I create, how I take on a sense of attention. When you have Leo in the 12th house, you may not know how to take on attention. You may be extremely shy and have a perfectionist mindset. You're a Virgo rising. So how do you work that with the 6th house energy? Leo in the 12th house, Aquarius in the 6th house. Find communities, networks that validate your uniqueness. Find communities and networks that help you find your quirkiness and your creativity. When you have Leo in the 12th house, it would be great for these kids to go like after school programs, performing arts schools, just themes where they're allowed to see what they're good at, their niche, their Virgo rising. What's their purpose, or how they can find different ways of what purpose can look like. So with Aquarius being in the 6th house, you put them in environments, networks, camps, so they can find that self-expression, that inner creativity. Now let's flip it. Aquarius in the 12th, Leo in the 6th. Aquarius in the 12th, I can't seem to fit in, find networks, communities. I have a radical way of thinking, or people think I have a radical way of thinking. You have Uranus energy in the 12th house. That means you're a Pisces rising. So how you can have a feeling where people project on you, people don't really see you clearly. You walk into a room and there's a Neptunian energy to you. So do people really see me? Can they really grasp me? Why do I feel like I have to hide? So when you have Leo in the 6th house, you cannot hide. You have to show yourself, expose yourself, be very adamant in the fact that people will project on you and even try to hide you, cast shadows on you. You're a Pisces rising. So you have to really step out with that Leo. And Pisces energy, that's why they're so creative. And you'll see how with like a lot of Pisces dominance, where they can project different identities. They have like alter egos, especially since they could do a lot of behind the scenes work. So it's going to be really important. So you don't feel like you, with Aquarius in the 12th house, you alienate yourself. You just end up blending in the background, or you feel like you're always in a space just waiting to take a step out to really showcase your talents, who you are. So with that Leo in the 6th house, you got to really step out and go into spaces where you find your self-expression, your sense of inner creativity. You show why you don't blend in, why you've never blended in, why you guys have the wrong idea about me. Virgo, Pisces, the axis. Virgo, my standards, my everyday habits. Pisces, my wishful thinking, my dreams, signs, higher self. When we have Virgo in the 12th house, Pisces in the 6th house, Virgo in the 12th house, I need to really find my standards. My standards and habits can seem to escape me. Sometimes I can have no boundaries with people. If you're a Libra rising, so why it's very important that you really find a sense of character in others. You really make sure that other people aren't really throwing your game off or making your reputation go off, or where you're just like Libra energy can walk into space where you may feel like they have to even be elitist. Because you can hang out with the wrong people and they could bring you right down the drain. Or you could start be an ally or bully for the wrong people. So Virgo being in the 12th house, we need to find standards. We need to stand on business. We need to really make sure that we work on our habits. We have to be conscious of also how other people's habits can seep into ours. So the Piscean energy coming and being in the 6th house and that energy flipping, we have to be aware where we wear rose-colored glasses. We have to be aware where we might just, especially with Libra energy, where we might just look at people from a superficial level. We're in us. That some person could have got us by having a nice outfit on, nice car, or just this superficial dynamic. We have to be aware of that and how that could bring us into spaces where we have poor standards. Now let's flip it. Pisces in the 12th, Virgo in the 6th. It's home. Aries rising. Aries. Remember, Aries got to work with work with initiating themselves, self. Pisces in the 12th. I can't seem to grasp my dreams, my wishful thinking, my hopes, and my desires. It puts me in a space where I can't really initiate and take steps in being self. Since Pisces naturally sits here where I can be stuck in my head, or I can be in spaces where I stay in wishful thinking, hoping to take this step, hoping to go down this road, hoping to find these end goals. Where it could be a theme in life where I'm always trying to figure out who I am, how I appear. And Virgo being in the 6th house, just staying there, just being there naturally, where Aries really has to work on the basis of standards. Aries is the youngest of the sign, youngest of the chart. So everything is new to them. That's why they can be very impulsive. Other people can tell them that they're very immature. They may not always pace themselves. Saturn fall in Aries. Aries can even feel like every theme that they come into, every situation that they come into, is like the first time. So when you have Aries energy, since it just sits naturally, every sign sits in its natural house. With Pisces being your 12th house, where do we have to have more faith in ourselves? Be more transparent? Where can we lack having that transparency? Where we always feel like we have to have a defense, a guard up. And with Virgo being in the 6th, by being very clear on your standards, being very firm on the lifestyle you want, Aries, you will create the life of your dreams. So I wanted to do the axis to break down the 12th and the 6th house. 12th house are suppressed desires. 6th house are conscious habits. Whatever's in your 12th house is your wishful thinking, your hope, what you're hopeful for. It's also where you go into hermit solitude. What can keep you in hermit and solitude modes? In your 6th house is how you get out of that. How you find better habits, how you actualize things, your work ethic, your standards, how you make all what's in the 12th house come true. So I'm going to look at the comments, see how y'all doing in there. Cancer 6th house, my biggest challenges I'm working on. Thank you, Emily. So I just want to break this down. 12th house, 6th house. Also with just this transit of Saturn being in Pisces and how it's been very important, especially for the mutables. Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius. Why has this been such a transparent, wanting to be more honest, wanting to be more, showcase yourself more, wanting to show hidden or uncovered gifts, especially for the mutables, wanting to travel places and meet people that we've never met before, or go just in spaces where we want to showcase things that may have stayed in the back of our mind, where we may have wishful thinking in. Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius. Why is this even a time where people around you are telling you, I've never seen you in this way. I never even know you were interested in this. When did you become good at this? What's that happening in your life right now? Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. And also, since this is an energy that's mutable, 12th house and 6th house, mutable energy, Saturn being in Pisces, what is it asking you in the collective where you're realizing I need to be a little bit open-minded? I'm allowed to change my mind. And also with the 12th house is our undoing, our shadow work. So the 12th house is also where we need to learn how to forgive ourselves. It's the house of unconditional love. So we need to learn how to unconditionally love ourselves. And then the 6th house lets everybody, since it's on the descendant, lets everyone know how to now deal with us, work with us, operate, cohabit with us, based on the spaces that we're found are, the unconditional parts of ourselves, the super gifts of ourselves, that basis there. And it's also the house of undoing. So with that energy, with Saturn being in Pisces, where do we also need to work on forgiving ourselves, realizing where we need to work on more unconditional love for ourselves and some around us. And I spoke on that yesterday with, where we're finding out where love can be unconditional and where love needs to be conditional, and what is unconditional and what is conditional. Saturn and Pisces is asking that for the collective. Where am I going to wholeheartedly accept you in, where I'm just like, nah, we need to work on. That's like my, what's that word? Deal breaker. So guys, thank you so much for being here with me, for being on this stream. Now this is saved. You guys can watch it later. And it's based on the 12th house, 6th house axis. And also I'm doing sessions, so 20% off on my natal chart, solar return, and progress sessions. The promo code is PLAN2020. You guys have a great holiday. I see you guys later. Bye, everyone.